Welcome, it's episode 6 of the Matt Sager podcast. I'm Matt Sager, and I'm going to have to stop chronologically ordering these podcasts at a certain point, especially since yesterday I made fun of Opie Radio for doing just that. But I'm new to all this. In fact, this is a brand new feature of the Matt Sager podcast. I'm going to do these daily mini-sodes for a couple of reasons. The first of which is that you may have noticed in the last several episodes of my podcast, I've been sort of begging like a little 1920s tramp for people to work with me on this podcast. Other voice actors, other podcasters, comedy writers, producers, guests who want to come on and promote their shows, be they comics, musical acts, what have you. And I've been getting some great responses. So the weekly episode is going to become sort of more of an event in itself. And that combined with the fact that podcasting, people don't want to wait a week to hear what I've got to say. Why should they? And I don't need to be in my recording studio to give you a super high quality podcast. I've got an amazing microphone connected directly via the lightning port to my iPhone. And the sound quality is spectacular as far as I'm concerned. This is the one area of 21st century life in which we are kind of living in the Jetsons future that we all hoped we would one day. We don't have jetpacks, and there's still all sorts of tribalism and almost Stone Age types of problems, but we've managed to take a lot of stuff that you could only do with these gigantic machines in huge corporations and put them in the literal palm of your hand in the form of these apps and smartphone accessories. What I'm able to do with this phone rivals what I could do in a production studio at a major New York station, which is all just yet one more reason why the podcast I was talking about yesterday that still continues to really, it made a dent. It boggles my mind. But that they couldn't give, for instance, everyone on that show a high-quality Lightning mic connected to a hub, connected to an iPad Pro. That would cost about $5,000 for a major show on this gigantic syndicator, and it would sound fantastic. So while at first blush you may think I sound like a hypocrite after bashing that show and now boasting about using my phone, I'm actually using professional software and professional equipment. They could be doing the same thing. You could too. These iOS apps, not the ones that come preloaded, not GarageBand, which is great, but you can do better. And there are absolutely high-end professional-grade Lightning microphones, like the Sennheiser MK4. I use that constantly. I'll probably use that one on my next episode. We can compare it to this one, see how they sound back-to-back. And in the meantime, I'll continue using my home recording studio to make podcast episodes. Absolutely. Just whatever works best for any given episode at any given time. I'm not forsaking my professional equipment that cost roughly half my life savings to acquire, and that I've got sitting here ready to use. I'm just not chained to it. Not as a podcaster. I'll probably bring people in the studio for the big weekly episode, but it's just, this is podcasting. I should be embracing every element of this. The freedom, the democracy, the ability to do it off my phone. It's absurd. So I'm loving this. Just got back from the gym, and I feel so great. I joined the gym a couple of months ago, in part because I'd been given some really bad news, like about my knee. Put it this way, I would have to step down from the NFL. The news was not spectacular. And even the surgeon was like, look, I'll go in and cut. And even thinking about it creeps me out. But he was like, even then, it's still going to be bad. I right now have no pain in my knee. I've been doing all this stuff on it, and I noticed it at some point last week that when I got up and moved around, there's no pain at all in my knee. So being in shape, working with your body, using it the right way, turns out there's nothing better you can do for yourself. It's weird that I would be an ambassador of physical fitness at this stage in my life. I'm 45 and I've never been in better shape. So that's a huge credit to Equinox here in Greenwich Village where I work out. But it's also a life lesson. I'm learning all these life lessons at the gym, like Karate Kid or something. It's a very cool experience for me, and I recommend it very highly. Then I came back with all this stuff on my mind about working out and about what it means, and I've got some stuff in my life that's weighing on me, some decisions I'm mulling over, and I saw my doorman, and he looked really concerned. He goes, Matt, I got to talk to you. I got a question. I said, oh, geez, what? He goes, The Dark Knight. Why did Batman save Harvey Dent and let Rachel fall? And it's so great when you can get out of your head and go, oh, yeah, that is a good question. Why did he? My theory is that The Dark Knight is kind of like Chinatown. It's before DC decided to make blockbuster movies to compete with Marvel, when they hired Christopher Nolan to make dark movies, and that Dark Knight is a noir. And the end result is you're supposed to have figured out that he lost. He failed. The Joker won, and The Dark Knight made a mistake that haunts him for the entire rest of the trilogy. It's still weighing on him when you see him as this Howard Hughes recluse in The Dark Knight Rises. The Joker wins. That's my takeaway. So, in case you're wondering my stance on The Dark Knight, I'm very happy to share it. And I'm so grateful to have stuff like that as a priority to think about. I think we should all, no matter what's going on in our lives, A, take care of ourselves, and B, if you're struggling with a major life decision and you're sort of caught in a loop, ask yourself why Batman let Rachel fall and saved Harvey Dent instead. It's still an exercise in brain power, but it's much less serious. It's much less somber, and it doesn't preclude you from returning to reality and making that a priority. But it keeps you creative, it keeps you a little bit out of your own head and involved in the rest of the world, and that can only be a good thing as far as I'm concerned. So, it's been great to catch up with you. I'm going to try and do these episodes every day. And as I said, the responses I've been getting for the weekly show, these aren't people who I'm like, oh, well, send me your work. These are friends of mine, people I'm really, really fond of, people whose work I admire a lot, that when they contacted me and said, yes, count me in, I was like, oh, fuck, yeah, we're doing this. It's Vic Henley. No, it's not Vic Henley. We've got a great bit we do about how when he eats fried chicken without me, it's like he cheats on me. It's a callback to yesterday's show where I really unloaded on this podcast I could not stand called OB Radio. I hope that today's little blast has been fun. It's been awesome catching up with you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one.